2024 was the first year the global average temperatures exceeded 1.5 degrees Celsius, this so-called safe target for climate change and global warming set under the Paris Agreement. 1 year doesn't breach the Paris Agreement. The Paris Agreement is about climate change, 20-year averages. The bad news is that although 2024 was the first year, it is very likely that the 20-year period starting in 2023 will in fact be the first 20-year period exceeding the Paris Agreement target, and the next 18 years is almost locked in to breach this warming level. And global temperatures will continue to rise because not only did 2024 set record high temperatures, it also had record high concentrations of greenhouse gases like carbon dioxide, methane, and nitrous oxide from human activities. We also had record high water vapour concentrations, and water vapour is the most important greenhouse gas in the atmosphere, and it increases as global temperatures increase. The other bad news is that despite all countries, except perhaps the United States, signing on to the Paris Agreement, the objective of the Paris Agreement to limit global emissions has been ignored, and global emissions of carbon dioxide, methane and nitrous oxide also reached record high levels in 2023 and in 2024. We are a long way away from limiting global warming. We are likely to hit 2 degrees of global warming in the 2050s unless urgent action is taken to limit global warming and to stop increases in greenhouse gases. The record high temperatures we had in 2024 were due to the increases in climate pollution in the atmosphere due to burning fossil fuels, but they were also partly due to the El Nino event, record high ocean temperatures in the Pacific Ocean that led to an increase in temperature. That's part of natural variability, and it leads to warming global temperatures as well. There were some other factors as well. Every increase in global average temperature increases the frequency and intensity of climate extremes around the world. So these increases in global temperatures are leading to more weather and climate extremes, not just in Australia, but around the world. And these increases in temperatures are also leading to increases in rapid transitions from wet extremes, like we saw in Australia in 2022 and 2023, and in some parts of Queensland and the Northern Territory this year, as well as dry periods. And these rapid extremes and transitions are sometimes called climate whiplash. Rapid changes from hot extremes, dry extremes, and then wet extremes. And unfortunately, Los Angeles and the bushfires there were a critical example of this rapid transition. The forest country and the scrub around Los Angeles grew under wet extremes and floods in the 2022-23 period, and then there was drought in 2024 that led to the bushfires. Enough of the United States. Let me talk about Australia now. The 20-year average temperature in Australia was 1.4 degrees for the most recent 20-year period, at a time when the global average temperature was only 1 degree for 20 years. Remember I said we only had 1 year at 1.5 degrees. Before that it was cooler. So the global average for the last 20 years is 1 degree. Australia is a landmass. Temperatures in Australia are going to be about 40% higher than the increase in global average temperatures. So that means that when we get to 1.5 degrees, you can do simple arithmetic in your head, and we'll be at 2.1 degrees warming in Australia, substantially higher than now. And when we get to 2 degrees of global warming. We'll be at 2.8 degrees in Australia, and 2 degrees of warming is locked in with current increases of global emissions. What have we seen in Australia? We've seen that these increases in Australian regional temperatures, and particularly across Australia, the temperatures inland are much hotter than on the coast. You know, when you go to the beach, it's cooler than the inland region. That's because the ocean doesn't warm up as much, but we have had ocean heat waves that cause bleaching of the barrier reef. I know I'm running out of time, I need to move on. Associated with these climate changes in southern Australia, as we've experienced this summer, there have been significant declines in cool season rainfall. We've had a very hot, dry summer in Melbourne and across Victoria. What most people don't know is that the current spring and summer period is hotter than the temperatures in the black summer period. Everyone knows that black summer was really hot in 2018, 2019, and 2019, 2020. Lots of bushfires. Well, this spring and summer has been even hotter. Just doesn't feel like that in some parts of the country because of the extreme rainfall associated with Tropical Cyclone Alfred in Queensland and in some other parts of the country. I need to move on. Yes, rainfall in northern Australia has actually increased because global temperatures mean more water vapour. More water vapour means heavier rainfall. And yes, Australian rainfall on average has increased. Just don't tell that to anyone in Victoria or the southwest of Western Australia, which has got drier. Not everyone receives the same rainfall. The combination of drying and extreme temperatures means increases in extreme fire weather, and unfortunately the ongoing increases in global temperatures mean that all of these experience of climate impacts that we've had over the last 20 years will get worse and continue to increase in frequency and intensity. We need to act. Australian emissions have fallen primarily due to decline in emissions from electricity generation and reductions in land clearing in many parts, but not all parts of Australia. Those are the only two sectors where there's been significant declines. We are not quite on target to reach our 50%, our net zero target by 2050 yet. We need much stronger emission reductions by 2035 and by 2050 to reach net zero emissions by 2050. The dominant reason for the reductions in electricity is not the changes in coal-fired power stations to gas, it's actually the increases in renewable energy sources from solar power and wind power around Australia, particularly in Victoria. But there are still plenty of opportunities on shopping centres, on factories, on warehouses to use urban locations for solar panels. We need much stronger emission reductions to meet that net zero target. We need to also increase our planting of trees, planting of vegetation to capture carbon that's already been emitted into the atmosphere. But there's another issue that has not been talked about in any election campaigns at all, as far as I can hear or see, and that is emissions from Australian exports of coal and gas, fossil gas, are more than double our domestic emissions, and they make Australia the third largest exporter of fossil fuels, and that is Australia's largest contribution to making global warming worse, and it is supported by both the current government and the Liberal National Party coalition. They want to make climate change worse for you. I don't know why, but they do, because the current minister and the opposition minister for the environment both support those activities. I need to finish. If you want more information, at the bottom of the flyer, there is a Climate Council Climate Policy Scorecard for all the major parties and the minor parties that is available online. I am not going to take any questions because it might suggest that I am supporting one or other of the candidates. However, I am going to listen to all of what they say. Thank you very much.